So next I'm going to welcome up from the City of Independence a project called Farm to Fork Crop Tracking. So I have with us today Shawn Irvine, the Economic Development Director from the City of Independence, along with Laura Rumbel, the Consumer Experience Enabling Program Director from Intel. Welcome.
Thank you. For those of you, I mentioned this earlier, Independence, we're a small rural community about an hour south of here in the Mid-Willamette Valley. We have our own fiber to the home broadband system, and we've been working for the last few years to leverage that to be a hub for the testing and development of broadband-dependent technologies, in particular focused on smart agriculture. One of our real kind of intention here is to be really an interface between the ag world and the tech world. We're making connections in agriculture, identifying challenges, identifying folks who want to be guinea pigs for pilot projects, and then also getting out there with the tech industry and identifying folks who are trying to develop new technologies, and then basically playing matchmaker. One of those matchmaker efforts that has really borne fruit is our connection with Intel. We've developed a really good relationship with them, and I'm going to let Laura explain a little bit about the project we have working with them.
Thanks, Shawn. So let's see here. So this is a whole lot of information on a slide, but Intel has developed what we like to think of as an IoT connected logistics platform. Intel moves a lot of freight. We are actually ranked number 5 globally by Gartner. We have a tremendously large supply chain. So when Shawn reached out and had a problem, well, actually, we like to think of it as an opportunity that presented itself with a customer or a colleague, Rogue Distillery or Rogue Ales. You might be familiar with that. It's always nice to talk about beer at a tech conference. But he reached out and said, hey, I have this customer or colleague, partner, that is looking for a means to better understand or get better visibility for bringing their product, and this particular product was fresh hopped ale, and particularly the fresh hops from the farm direct at harvest to the brewery itself. Now, with our connected logistics platform, which you can kind of see here at a high level, it was developed to address multiple use cases. Obviously, in bringing what we'd call point-to-point shipments, right? If you have a finished good and you have that at the warehouse and it needs to be delivered from that warehouse to the end consumer, we can do that. But it also has a lot of alacrity to be applied to this particular use case, to the raw product at the point of harvest, and deliver that, in this particular use case for Rogue, to the brewery. Now, Rogue, the problem that they were expressly trying to solve was their fresh hops overheat, or they can have a tendency to overheat in transit. So our platform is a hub and spoke architecture. It allows the gateway that you see here to communicate or to capture the sensing that is gathered by the tags that you also see on that slide. So we were able to attach tags to the particular shipment of fresh hops and then collect the temperature and humidity levels that were being, or allow the sensors to collect those values at pre-recorded intervals as directed by Rogue. So the problem, as I mentioned, hops tend to overheat. We wanted to make sure that Rogue could get visibility about their product while it was in transit en route to the brewery. The route itself was actually rather small. This was, again, a beachhead or a test case for Rogue so that they had visibility and they could actually optimize their mash, the beer mash, at the exact moment when those fresh hops should be added. So as you can see, if you start on the upper right and you move down to the lower left of this slide, we started in the Independence Hop Yard. And we collected the hops at the time when it was appropriate to harvest them, added these sensors to that shipment, and then we stopped just a little bit outside of Independence. We had some lunch, and we kept moving on our journey, and that lunch is going to factor here as we look at the data, so just imagine that. But the hops themselves were transported in an air-conditioned truck, which would be normal, And then we followed along our normal route out to Newport to the Rogue Brewery. Now, this connected logistics platform, again, allows us to have visibility to the shipment using an application. So Rogue had visibility to what was happening with their shipment, the brewmaster had visibility to the shipment, as well as the Intel technicians. So this is the actual data. So if you start, again, it's chronological, you can see the date stamp, but if you start at the left-hand side, the data, and you can see the temperature spike a bit, that's when we are actually loading those hop bins in the truck. So we would expect to see a rise in temperature because they're not yet in that air-conditioned environment. The temperature starts to drop as they get in that air-conditioned environment, and we're starting our route. And then you start to see the temperature rise just a little bit as we all stop for lunch. Again, the data is doing everything that we would expect it to do. Rogue had entire line of sight to our journey. They knew where we were because it's also reporting lat and longitude for our trip. They could see it actually on a map. They knew exactly where we were. And then you can also see the temperature drop back down and maintain a nice stasis line in the route and the rest of the trip onto the brewery. The same holds true with our humidity levels. I mean, again, nothing to support or nothing shocking here. It supports our hypothesis entirely. So this leads us now into our next level. The one thing I want to take away with our Rogue shipment was it was great to hear Rogue actually say, hey, Intel, it's great to allow technology to help us all make better beer. I have to say it was a really fun and rewarding moment to be part of Rogue's 2017 fresh hop shipment, or their overall beer. So that was such a successful POC, again, with City of Independence, that Shawn said, hey, we have another idea coming on, so I'm going to let Shawn introduce that.
So we have a monthly meetup around agricultural technology, and one of the things that came out of that was, the blueberry industry is very concerned about monitoring temperature and condition of their crop from farm to fork. The other piece is they have a lot of issues around food safety certification, traceability, and ensuring and authenticating the information throughout the chain of custody process from farm to fork. So we went back to Intel and said, hey, is this an opportunity to do something more potentially with blockchain? And that seemed to be an opportunity.
So we're working with several stakeholders. This is more of a tease. Again, the blueberry harvest is just starting this week. So we're just about to start this engagement. So we're just going to kind of share. I'm not going to run through all these scenarios in the interest of time. You can kind of see we're edging up on time here. But like Shawn mentioned, this is a great opportunity for us to integrate that connected logistics platform with our own blockchain platform and integrate the two so that it's automatically uploading some of these sensor values directly to that ledger so that all folks within the value chain have visibility to these sensing values. And again, we're looking for temperature and humidity only. Our entire platform can also capture such values such as shock, tilt, and light, but for this particular product, those sensing values are needed. So on the ledger, again, when you think about the product itself, where is it actually harvested from? We need that lat and longitude. This actually makes a lot of sense for things, especially in agriculture, such as origin, right? We need things for food safety issues, provenance, and those things. Is it an organic berry? And we know that from, thanks, I'm getting the countdown. But so we're hoping to address many of these scenarios and proof points in our proof of concept moving forward, and it's going to be going all the way throughout the production line, sensing all the way through for one entire lot of berries through to the customer. And I hope to come back here and share with you more detail. Here's just a quick snapshot of what this proof of concept flow will look like, and we're hoping to conduct this POC in the next 2.5 week time frame. So again, perhaps next year I can come back and share with you the result of all of this. Thanks so much for your time and attention.